and welcome back to the yet another power packed session of Time to Shine. And here we are again with Ruqaiya Khan, the part two. And our today's topic for discussion is child development. So, Ruqaiya, when we talk about child development, the first question comes in our mind is how to manage a child. If a child is stubborn or not listening or is a misbehaved child, what can we do and which strategies can we apply to, make that child understand and to learn effectively?
Okay, so the very first and the most important thing is, thinking about the words that we use as an adult, how and what words are we using for a child? So the word misbehaving, is a very wide spectrum, and it's more like a label on a child, So thinking about, what is actually happening, and understanding what that word of misbehaving means, there could be many reasons that a child is behaving the way he is or she is, okay? There could be additional support needs. There could be some learning strategies. There's a variety of reasons, okay? But sadly, we put it into one word as saying misbehaving.
Yes.
Okay. And by doing that, what we do is we stop ourselves as adults, parents, carers, we stop ourselves from actually going to the bottom of finding out the reason for the child's behavior. Okay, so that is the very first and most important thing, is trying to understand what was the cause of this child being the way that they're displaying that type of behavior. Okay, so as you said, you've asked of how to handle children like this. The most and foremost thing is understanding what was the cause. What was the trigger? What was the reason that this led to this type of behavior?
Exactly.
Was it something that we as an adult, when the child was communicating to me as a teacher or as a parent, was I listening to the child fully? Did I miss something out from what the child was saying?
It can be, because of parents' behavior or teachers' behavior as well, that the child has become rigid and is not listening.
Yes,
right?
there could be,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, many reasons. So as an adult, it's our responsibility to reflect of those specific moments before that child's behavior had exposed to that way, or you'd come. So thinking about these, we have to think about why did that happen? Where did it go? And the most important thing is you stay calm, because we shouldn't react to that, okay? Because
Yes.
our react create another action from that child, and that's what you don't want. So you need to stay calm, okay? You need to listen to what is being said by the child, okay? And that is something, again, that we struggle to do, especially as a teacher, because there's so many other children, and you are one individual who has got this class full of children, and you're working with them. So it's trying to understand and making sure that we've got some clear boundaries set, and we're consistent with our boundaries. Making sure, so for example, if you're in a class, making sure there's one child talking at a time, so you can give them that opportunity to be heard by everybody else as well. Having those rules is very important. As a parent, we need to make sure that we are listening to the child, hearing what's being said to the child, by the child. And then from there, depending on what is there, looking for ways and solutions, but work with the child. That's the most important thing. You work with the child, and that goes as well as with the teacher as well. So as the question you were asking, how do we handle it? Every circumstance and situation is different. Every child will have a different reaction to a different situation. Okay.
Exactly.
We need to understand, could there be additional reasons to this behavior? Or, is this an ongoing thing? Is it something that we're not grasping? Are we not consistent with managing the situations and scenarios that are being displayed by the child? So there's many, many reasons, and it's an open-ended flow of things of why behaviors are made and why we as adults are being challenged by these behaviors.
So only one conclusion we can add over here is we can start, the solution by talking to child. We can encourage the interaction We can make the child, talk and speak upon every issue.
Yeah. And that was like, when I was talking about in the parenting session, the most important part is communication, making sure that you have that strong communication, even as a teacher or a professional, you building those strong relationships for these children is very, very important, because after the parents, it's us as educators or, professionals working with the children who they're going to communicate with. You're expected to support that development of theirs. But if we don't communicate with them or don't give them that safe path to communicate to us, it's going to be very complicated for them and confusing as well.
Yes, as you said, Ruqaiya, teachers also play an important role, and we have discussed this in a previous session
Absolutely.
as well. So, if we talk about a classroom management thing, what a teacher can include in an empty classroom, like according to you, if there is an empty classroom and you are a leader, what will you expect from a teacher to, include that in a classroom to motivate and encourage that interaction from students, to build that healthy environment and a creative environment to learn? So what are those 3 or 4 things that a teacher can include?
So when you have a classroom environment, the very first thing is, especially if you've got an empty classroom, you do not know who your learners are for a
Yes.
start. Okay. You do not know who your learners are. You do not know their ability, their stages and ages, part of their development. Okay. That as a teacher or a professional, you've got to learn this yet.
Yes.
So what you should be looking at, you should be looking at it as a holistic view, making sure you're trying to incorporate as much opportunities for these new learners that are coming into your classroom as possible, so that you are able to observe their learning and their development to create the best environment for them. Okay.
Yes.
So for that, you look at making sure your environment is safe and enjoyable. Okay. It's a learning environment that's
Exactly.
providing curiosity, it's providing all the developmental factors there, where children are looking at their social, emotional, physical development, their
Exactly.
cognitive development. So you would think of these things on a holistic view. So if you've got children between the ages of 3 to 5 in your classroom, you would look at them on a holistic view and say, okay, what should their learning strategies be? What should I be bringing in here? How am I going to make sure that my environment for them is interacting? It's an engaging environment. That's what you need to make sure, that the environment that you're creating is safe, stimulated, full of curiosity, engaging and interacting.
That's true.
And from that point onwards, you are going to then develop that relationship with those children, and you're going to be able to define it more towards the learning sort of strategies and processes at that point. Okay.
Yes.
So
That's
it depends on how you view it. And I think we
understood.
as educators and teachers also need to remember that we have a role. And with this role in the child development, we need to think of it holistically. We're educators, but along with the educational side of stuff, there are certain things that the children need to be able to understand and learn, but we also have to learn that from them as well. It's not always a dominating environment. It's about an
Correct.
interacting environment, an engaging environment.
Correct.
That's where you will have a class full of success from it. If you're listening to the child and the children and vice versa, it's going to be much more a happier environment.
Yeah. So, Ruqaiya, moving forward, if we talk about, involving children in the household work, to be a better human being in future, to be an understanding human being, like, if so that they will not discriminate that household tasks are, according to the hierarchy, that this is lower and whatever I do outside, this is the main issue which is still existing in the society, where especially boys thinking that no, this work is not meant for me, because they have not trained in that way in their childhood. So what can we, how can we inculcate the values so that they can involve and help their mothers as well in household work, little bit small, by taking small steps?
Yeah. So that's a very, very strong point that you've raised there. Okay.
Yeah.
we see this across within our profession, now even as children are coming into school, there's certain social skills that they have not got in them, they've not developed in them yet, and because of those social skills, that could be even communicating, for example, just how do you communicate with your peers? Okay, how am I meant to be talking to my friends? What should I be saying to my friends?
Yes.
That is a very basic way of looking at it. Children do not understand how to do that. It's because we as parents or carers are not guiding them in that way. They're in front, they have a lot of stronger influence from social media and all these technologies and things like that. But the actual effect of reality in front of them is still quite challenging. So when we look at this, the most important thing is from a very early age, engaging your child with yourself with the household tasks. Okay. For example, after having a meal or something, make sure your child is picking up the dishes and putting them away, encouraging them to help wash them, no matter how young they are. Okay, encourage them how to wash them. Their bedroom, tidying their rooms up, small tasks. Could you do that for me? Could you get this for me? I want you to do this. Would you be able to? And again, it comes down to here, Ruqaiya, as well, is how the question is asked to the child.
Exactly.
If we're asking to say, can you go and get that for me? That's a demand.
Yes.
We need to remember next time when a child is asking us, that's exactly how they're going to ask us as well.
Because they're imitating elders.
Absolutely. Yeah. So would you be able to do this for me? It's about thinking of how we are addressing the child to do the certain roles and responsibilities as well. And that is key to things to say, right, how are we doing it? So involving the child from a very young age and saying to yourself, right, okay. And for some people, in society, it's like, no, this is a female's task and responsibility. This is a male's task and responsibility. And they're given those responsibilities, so they're avoided. But what we need to remember now, we're in a very different era of life, where all our young children are in a situation or can be in a situation where their education will lead them where they're going to be all alone. And all these social skills are going to be needed when they go somewhere when the family is not there with them. How are they going to cope at that point?
Exactly.
How are they going to be living in a shared accommodation or, however their life is going to be? How will they cope on their own? So if we take these thoughts in our mind and say, well, do you know what? If I help my child today from a young age and build these social skills, household responsibilities, tasks, but looking after themselves, giving them responsibilities, we're also encouraging this for their future. Because it'll be embedded in them. They won't feel that burden. They won't feel that extra pressure of their study. So they're moving to a different country, for example, they're going to university. It's in different environments. They've got to learn that environment. They've got to learn how to social in there. They've got to learn how to focus on study, establish all the connections there, plus then their household responsibilities. So it's going to be very, very challenging.
Yes.
If we're able to feed our children and young, children from an early age into all these things will not affect them as much, because it's already there and they can focus on all the other.
They can adjust in any environment, that's the.
Yes. I mean, we also notice, as children in child development, a lot of the things are, where parents turn around and say, oh, my child doesn't eat. My child's a very fussy eater, doesn't want to eat this.
Yes.
I have to walk around feeding my child. I have to do this. I have to do that. Why are these things happening? It's because we are not, we start feeding our child. When the child comes to an age of where they can start to eat themselves, even at that age, we are still spoon feeding them.
Exactly. This I have seen in many families, Yes, this is the live example. I've seen many families that the child is 8 to 9 years old and still, because there are many reasons, because he's a favorite child or she's a favorite child, we are feeding him or her, that's a reason. And they become dependent that I'm not eating food because you are not giving it to me. That's that's it.
And the other thing is, it's not just that, it's the psychological effect that it has as well. That whole
Yes.
process from a child picking a spoon up, scooping the food up, putting it into a spoon. Am I able to lift this? Taking it to their mouth,
Yes.
chewing it, swallowing it, digesting. It's a whole process. But if
Yes.
they're not the initial part of it, that process is broken. They will
Yes.
not, the mind
Understood.
and the body is not going to connect properly to these things. So, and the other thing is, we notice a lot of people will say, oh, my child just makes a mess and I don't like the mess. I have to clear it up. So I'll just quickly feed them. I'll do this, I'll do that. We're not helping them. We're
Exactly.
not helping children. We were making it more difficult. We're making it difficult for ourselves as adults, but we're making it even more difficult for the child.
For children. Yes.
And when the child's going to go to school, okay, the child is not used to doesn't know how to eat, for example, because we've not taught them in the house. We're spoon feeding them. And then your
Yes.
child is not in school or nursery, they're not having their lunch and the lunchbox is coming back full. And then the mums are getting annoyed as to saying, why did my child not have lunch? He doesn't, that's not like him in the house. As a teacher, we cannot sit there and spoon feed children.
Each children, that's impossible for a teacher.
For 15, 20 children you've got in your class, there's no
Yes.
way you can do. So we as parents then should be thinking to actually, how are we helping our child? How do we make our
Yes.
life? The blame comes onto the teachers to say they're probably not focusing on the
Exactly.
child. You have a birthday party and you've got 15, 20 children at a birthday party that you've invited.
Yes.
All the children that are there, all the different, the parents could be there, the children could be there. That short space of time that you're spending with those children, that's going to finish in the next hour or so, they'll all go home.
Yes.
But a teacher has these children for 6 hours, day in, day out, and she's dealing with them. She's got 15 children from 15 backgrounds, 15 different personalities,
Yes.
that she has to link with. And it's continually you're thinking that with the parents. So it's about making sure that you are bringing these social skills into the children from a very young age, where
Exactly.
it becomes adaptive for them as they grow older.
Exactly.
So that's the best way to do it, is encouraging this from a very young age.
Yes. So Ruqaiya, this entire session was so fruitful. I just want to add up one question that if a client or a parent want to reach you out, if they want to contact you and want to take sessions from you, how can they reach you?
Okay, so as a child development trainer and a parenting coach, okay, so both of these go hand in hand. And I'm a teacher of early years as well, so I can incorporate a lot of things from there. How do they
Yes.
contact us? We do have our social media. Again, we've got our contact details as well, which I'll happily share across to yourself, and if there's any way.
Yes.
So they can contact the social media at the Marine Early Years Consultancy, and we're based up in Sharjah. And if this is viewed worldwide, so we are worldwide as well, right across. We've got a website, programs and trainings that we deliver, that we work on. I do a various amount. It's one-to-one sessions with parents. I do group workshops with parents, topic dependent. I do consultancy with
And the
parents and child
languages
development.
is only English, or you do the sessions in Hindi as well?
I do them in Urdu, Hindi, English, and
That's
Punjabi.
great. That's great. Yes.
Other than that, I have colleagues who are French speaking, Tigrania speaking, Somali
Wonderful.
speaking. And so there's a wide range of languages
range.
that we can
Okay.
provide, and that's just a blessing that we have. So yeah, the trainings there's one-to-ones there's short courses as well that we do as well for parents
Great.
that are certified and accredited. We also do work with professionals in early years, so working with trainers, teachers as well, in how to incorporate activities in child's development, how to focus on them.
Great.
Additional support needs as well. We work with children and families with additional support needs. So we do all these very, different things. So the best way is, contact us through social media, and just follow us there, and everything's uploaded on the social media.
Yeah, further to add, our Time to Shine talk show will also tag all your pages and your ID, so that they will not have to find. They will just reach out to you directly from those IDs. Yeah, that's a very easiest way that our show can do.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. That's wonderful,
Thank you
wonderful.
so much, Ruqaiya, once again for joining. And this session was also a great one. I hope the next upcoming session, which we are going to do, it will also be a great one and it will be beneficial for all the parents out there watching this show.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again for having me, and I look forward to being back
Yes,
again.
looking forward for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, take care then. Okay,
Yeah,
take
take
care.
care. Have a great evening.
You as well. Bye bye.